Sit back and get ready to have the most fun you ever had with an electronic device.
Look at the little Tula. She's talking to the producer. Talking to a kind of woman in a jumpsuit.
All right, everybody, welcome out to the Get On With It Sports Show. It is Friday, April the 22nd, 2022. Jersey Johnny coming at you. With me, as always, is none other than Mr. RadioPete and Mr. Harry Lug Nutz. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Didn't work that way.
Pete looks like he's lost in a stock room that just had a hurricane.
Yeah, I'm in charge of reorganization. That's your local Ace Hardware.
All right. You know who I think you need to hire, right? This one right here. Okay.
If it does not spark joy,
little Marie Kondo action.
I will need a big dumpster for the things that don't spark joy.
Exactly.
Is the Marie Kondo Get On With It podcast commemorative dildo in the works or what?
Yeah, but does it spark joy?
It could.
Or maybe
Depends
it sparks
on whether or not you got fresh batteries or not.
Exactly. It depends on the sparking, right? Exactly.
Hey,
Yeah.
what's Keith Irizarry doing on MLB TV?
What's who doing on
the
MLB TV?
I don't know, some guy. He's got a video thing on the Major League Baseball. He came from News 12 here in Long Island.
Oh, gotcha.
So good for him. Don't know him personally, but
for those of you who don't know, this is a podcast and we have started.
Yes, this is true. This is very true. Well, there used to be this guy on Metro Traffic and Weather that was really cool. I listened to all the time.
Mike Haggerty?
No, Pete something or other. So anyway, so special Friday night podcast. Things got a little haywire on Wednesday. Apologize for anybody that was paying attention or really wanted the the excitement that they look forward to every Wednesday night with our show, but couldn't do it.
It's all John's fault.
It's all my fault. It's all my fault, and you'll find out why in about 3.5 weeks. We'll leave it at that. So, in any event, bright sun out there in Denver at this hour of the day, 5:30 out there.
It's just peeking through the clouds.
There you go. That's a good thing, isn't it? So, well, anyway,
sure.
So how are you?
Here today.
How much?
90.
90. Wow, it was only 70 here. What was it on the island, Pete?
Oh,
what was the weather near you?
60 and change, I think.
60 and change. Gotcha. Nice. Very good. Well, it was a good day. It was a nice day. But in any event, on that note, why don't we talk a little? Mets. Oh, by the way, I do want to bring this up. I see if you agree with this. I don't know if I agree with it or whatever. My boss really gets pissed off when I shorten his name to Dick. I mean, his name is Steve, but still.
Well, is it?
Gets mad when he shortens his name.
Is it Dick and Steve or Steve and Dick?
Steve and Dick, yes.
Oh, and you just go with Dick? I don't see anything wrong with that.
I think it's fine. I think it's all right.
I don't know. Try Stu.
Stu.
See how he feels about Stu.
I'll try Stu next time. All right.
And he goes, don't call me Stu. And then you go, whatever you say, Dick.
I don't think I'm at it. Okay.
You know, what did he say?
I don't think I'm at it.
Oh, so I heard it correctly then.
Yeah, you did.
All right. Just wanted to make sure. All right.
All right. I'm not in on this joke, so I don't know what.
No, it was a stupid dad joke, is all it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you guys remember the I think it was FedEx, the FedEx commercial.
Which one?
Right, where the guy comes in, like the officious jerk face boss comes in. He's got a thing, and he gives it to the underling, the trod upon underling, and he's like, "Dick, get this package to St. Louis by tomorrow, or you're fired." Mm-hmm. And then the next time he comes in, and he's like, "This package needs to get to Milwaukee, Dick, by tomorrow, or you're fired." And then the third time he comes in and goes, "This package needs to go to San Francisco by tomorrow, or you're fired, Dick." Mm-hmm. Of course, that was the joke because it was probably 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my gosh, he said Dick on the television,
Okay.
So, you guys remember that?
I do remember.
No.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
absolutely.
here's
not.
what happened, Harry. So there's this.
I don't want to. I don't want to discuss it anymore.
I could describe it for you in greater detail.
Let's get through the Mets bullpen discussion.
Brown
so
hair.
we
I think he
can-
had glasses. I don't know if his name was Richard. Might have been a name tag
Right.
or a plaque.
Gotcha.
Anyway,
I get it. I get it. I just don't get it.
All right.
Hopefully nobody
so
got
you don't want to.
paid.
You don't want to get it.
No,
Hopefully
you don't.
nobody got paid for writing that.
Maybe not. Depends on the ad agency they went to. But anyway. All right. So a little baseball, folks. We got it's a short show, but we would have done this on Wednesday anyway because not a lot going on. We're not gonna talk any football tonight because we got a decent football show with the draft next Wednesday night for you. So next week. So we got a little baseball to handle, and then it's a little basketball, and then we're good to go. So I just want to mention, hey, the Mets are off to a good start. Knock on wood. For all you Mets fans out there. 10-4 right now. They play tonight. They have a 3-game set out in Arizona, starting at 9:40 Eastern time tonight. So I guess that's 6:40 out there, or maybe 7:40 because Arizona doesn't do daylight time, right? I believe. Right. In any event,
Rebels
they are. And then they come back next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I believe, for the Cardinals. So hey, we'll see how that goes. I do want to say one thing. I want your opinion on this. All right. Some of you know I bowl. I'm in a bowling league every Thursday night. I'm 90 years old, living in the 50s. But in any event, I walk in wearing a Mets jersey. Another one, not this one, but another Mets jersey. I walk in, and as I'm walking in, this woman is walking past me carrying a pitcher of beer. So kudos there. But she's carrying a pitcher of beer, and she looks at me and says, "Wow, well, at least you have the courage to represent your team now. Talk to me in July," she goes. So I
Was
said,
she wearing any baseball paraphernalia?
not at all. But I said, let me guess. Yankee fan? She goes, yep. I go, jealous? She just shook her head and walked away. So now I both of you know, obviously, I don't hate the Yankees. I feel obviously Pete feels a little differently, but I don't hate the Yankees.
I do.
I don't.
Lately.
That's great. That's a soundbite right there. No, I don't hate the Yankees. But why is it lately that why do Yankee fans, some, not all, I'm not stereotyping Yankee fans because you don't, Harry, and I know many Yankee fans that don't do this, but why do I experience from time to time certain Yankee fans that shit on the Mets? Why is that? What?
Because they're named Dick.
I don't know.
Gotcha.
Because
there's a lot of you that are really fucking annoying. So
yeah,
I'm not one of them.
Stereotypes exist because
Yeah.
they exist. That doesn't mean that everyone is that way, but it
No.
means that some people are that
Right.
way.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
No, I'm
right.
agreeing with that. You're absolutely right.
But
why?
You would never. But the thing is, those they're the squeaky wheels that get the grease.
Right.
Because the normal, good-hearted, reasonable Yankee fans are not going to come up to you and say anything. So
Right.
If you're a true Yankee
you never would have
fan,
known that woman was a Yankee fan.
You
But
don't
it's
even
the
care about the
dickhead
Mets.
Yankee
What you
fans.
care about is the fact that you did fucking nothing in the offseason
Right.
to help your team.
Well, see, that's my point. That's where I'm going with this, right? I could see, and I don't agree with this because I feel the same way the opposite way, right? If there's, but a Met fan needling a Yankee fan, because they're aggravated, they're jealous, they're pissed off, 27 rings versus 2, the whole 9 yards. But what is it with, why would a Yankee fan shit on a Met fan? It makes no sense to me whatsoever. The only thing I
they're
think
not the
of
Red
is that,
Sox.
right, right. The only thing I could think of is that, in this particular instance, this particular time and place, they're a little jealous of, Steve Cohen basically being the new George Steinbrenner of New York. Steve, I've said this a million times. Steve Cohen is more George Steinbrenner than Hal Steinbrenner is. So,
listen,
could that be a factor? I don't know.
Well, he's got more money.
You
Right.
might have been wearing a Red Sox jersey. You might have been wearing a Toronto jersey.
Mhm.
You might have been wearing almost any jersey. And maybe there was just vitriol about the current state of the Yankees that she needed to get out.
She needed
You happen to have a baseball jersey on.
So
maybe if you were wearing trying to think who would. I was going to say Diamondbacks, but there's a little history there. Padres, maybe.
right.
If you'd been wearing a Padres jersey,
Mhm.
she might have left you alone. But a lot of teams have history with the Yankees, so I think she just she's mad and you happen
She's
to
an
be in the right
asshole.
place.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
She's a stereotype.
And the same
Harry,
token, I could have walked in wearing a Yankees jersey, and she would have looked at me and says, "How pissed off are you with them?"
Right.
Right.
She might have offered you a beer.
Right.
Let's drink to their demise or whatever. But
Right.
but Harry, you're absolutely right. There are plenty of stereotypical annoying Met fans,
Sure.
who
Agreed.
honestly have been shit on for years, and every chance they get to lord it over someone, they do
Rub
that.
it in.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
And look, I understand that philosophy. It's the surfing philosophy. When you're on the top of the wave, you ride it and you enjoy it, and you're the king of the fucking world. And then, let's say, to use the beer ladies analogy or whatever, come July, you crash onto the reef, and then you crawl up on the beach and lick your wounds. But when you're on top, enjoy it. Now, for some people, that means rubbing it in the Yankee fans' face. For other people, it just means walking around with a bemused smile. And for a lot of Met fans, it's waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Well, I mean, we all are, right?
And that's
really,
I just
hope the other shoe doesn't drop for another 30 years. You know what I mean?
That's the hard part is
right.
Because, even when you feel like guilty, you're enjoying it. I hope I don't jinx it.
Right. Well, apparently Harry was pissed off at that.
Harry's got lousy
internet today.
Yeah.
He's got lousy internet today. So
he looks blurry and
he was blurry. He was breaking up. He was freezing. He froze before we even started. He came back on. It wasn't great when he came back on. Now he's gone again. For those of you just listening to the audio podcast, those of you watching, he left because you can see he's not here anymore. So
it's just she's got a hang up, and you happen to be a punching bag that was close, so she took a shot.
Yeah, and like I said, if I had been wearing a Yankees jersey, she would have. That's when she would have been pissed off at the Yankees, but in a commiserating kind of way.
Right. Now, is she in your league, or she's just?
No, she was just down the other end of the alley.
That was carrying a pitcher of beer?
No. Down the other end of the alley. It's a pretty large alley. We only take up the league. We have 16 teams, so we take up 16 lanes. There's 30 lanes, so they have open bowling down the other end. Right. So they leave like 2 or 4 lanes in between, so it's like a buffer, and then they open up the rest of the alley.
Yeah.
She was walking down the other way. She was just there for open bowling. She wasn't.
Don and I were in a league for a couple of years, a long time ago. So, but all right. So she's not in the league. So
right. Exactly. So I didn't know her, and she went back there.
She might be a regular. She might be a what night was this? Last night?
Thursday night. Last night. Yeah.
So she might be a regular Thursday night bowler, or maybe she was just.
I've never noticed her before, but then again, I really don't pay attention much to the open bowlers. So
make sure you wear a Mets jersey and.
I'll definitely have one.
Walk around the whole place just to scope it out and see if she's there.
Exactly. All right. Harry's having a lot. There he is.
Oh, there he is.
He's having a lot of connectivity issues.
I think it's my Wi-Fi.
You think it's his Wi-Fi Wii?
That's
his Wi-Fi Wii.
That's got to be a video open.
Yes. You guys weak.
Can't do this. You're there. You're there. No, but it's actually providing us a lot of sound bites. So that's
try not to talk or move a lot.
That's fine. Are you done with the Mets? Are we still babbling about the Mets?
No, we're done with the Mets. I just want to ask you what you think of the offense so far. Forget about Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole's Garrett Cole. Look, he's underperforming. I mean, he's not. Is he the worst pitcher in the league? No. I mean, we could talk. You can spew about that 1 2/3 inning start the other day if you want, but he's certainly underperforming. But between that and the offense or lack thereof, I mean, where are you? Where
the fact that they got shut out twice by a horrific Baltimore team.
Yeah. And yet they're only one game out of first.
Yeah, the Yankees have the same problem they had last year. Mm-hmm. They do not have a team that's capable of manufacturing runs other than the long ball.
Right.
Now, there are some bright spots. Aaron Hicks is off to a good start. DJ
LeMahieu was good, yes.
It's the rest of their hitters are feast or famine. Mm-hmm. Judge is having an okay year, but I think the Yankees had 16 strikeouts as a team the other day. 16.
That was in the game that Cole was only in there for an inning and 2/3.
That was in a game against.
It was a bullpen game, basically.
Yeah, well, all their games are bullpen games, and that's the other problem. The Yankees pitching, Garrett Cole aside, has been excellent, but their two stars, Garrett Cole and Aroldis Chapman, are shells of themselves. Chapman came in and in one of these games, and yes, King came in and bailed him out, but he couldn't find the plate.
Right.
He walked three guys in a row. They don't have the starting pitching to look. Severino looks pretty good. Montgomery had a good game the other day. If you're getting 5 innings from pitchers who are giving up 2 or 3 runs, then the Yankees or any team should be able to win. They just don't have it. You could say what you want about Josh Donaldson. He's not the savior of the Yankees. He shouldn't be fucking batting leadoff. Okay. I like some of the role players. I think, Ralph Kiner's great grandson or whatever the hell he is a good shortstop. Is he a world beater? No. Is he going to hit 270? I hope so. He's another, but it's feast or famine. Yeah. Oh, Rizzo's got a lot of home runs. Yeah. Rizzo strikes out and doesn't. The Yankees hitting with runners on base is abysmal.
Right.
And they don't have a top 30 hitter in their lineup, with the exception of maybe LeMahieu. And look, I'm happy for Hicks. I hope he can continue this. I hope that he can do that. But when you have holes in the bottom of your lineup with names like Joey Gallo, Higashioka, who we knew was going to be a offensive, downgrade even from Gary Sanchez, or at least parallel, they're missing Luke Voigt's production. And yes, when Stanton and Judge and Rizzo hit home runs, the Yankees have a chance. But the fact that they're getting shut out as often as they are just tells you that they are not putting the ball in play. Their on-base percentage is abysmal. Sure. And unless that changes, they're not going to win. They're not going to be able to keep up this bullpen, the workload that they have on this bullpen. So far, the bullpen has been pretty good.
Don't forget, you mentioned the starting pitcher before. Don't forget Nestor Cortez.
Yeah, Cortez looks good too.
Looks good.
They're pitching overall. And look, I want to give the piling on Garrett Cole is pretty easy. And yes, it's concerning if you're a Yankees fan because we sunk so much money into this guy. And sure, there's probably some truth to the spider tack. It's obvious. But last year he had outings where he looked at least to be 75, 80% of what Garrett Cole was. I think in his case, it's not so much the spider tack this year. I think it's just that he didn't have the offseason he needed. He's not the kind of guy who can jumpstart right into the beginning of the season. And I think he's in his head a little bit.
Yeah. Chris Carlin said something the other day about Garrett Cole being one of those guys that had to have things just so. And he likened him to Mike Messina.
Yep.
And little things like the game being delayed, I think, on opening day by 4 minutes. These things rattle him.
Yeah. And
he said the difference between those two guys was Messina could usually get it worked out and settle down. And Cole seems to be having a lot more trouble. And he did spring training and all those things.
And a rain delay the other day. In that game,
a rain delay. Yeah. So, but he also pointed out there's about a 2-run difference between pre and post spider tack.
Right.
Although he did mention that, yes, there were times when he has pitched very well without the spider tack, but he just hasn't been as consistent.
Look, here's the other thing too. Hold that thought. When you talk about the spider tack and you talk about the balls and the control and everything else, his first couple of outings after they took the spider tack away, he was dialing in, right? He was finding his feel for the ball again. Okay, and then as you said, Harry, down the stretch, he was. He wasn't 100% what Garrett Cole was, pre-spider tack incident. But he was pitching decently, at least. And this year so far, they have changed the balls. They are different balls this year than they were. They have changed the balls again, but not just the makeup of the ball. Not only the makeup of the ball, but the actual feel of the ball too. The ridges are the stitching's higher, so it's a different feel. It's a different grip on the ball. I'm not making excuses for
grow the fuck up and play and pitch the goddamn ball. And if you can't, get the fuck out.
Right.
Nolan Ryan wouldn't have complained if they changed the ball.
Right.
he would have bit off whatever was bothering him.
I'm sure the ball had changed a couple of times throughout Nolan Ryan's career. I mean,
yeah,
it did,
and it doesn't seem to be bothering Clayton Kershaw or Max Scherzer.
No,
look, I think Cole could be a potential problem, but he needs to step up and figure it out. Now, if that means that he can only go 5 innings and he's going to give up 4 runs, then the Yankees have to score 5 runs.
Right.
That's what the Yankees have to do.
Well, that's the flip side, right?
He hasn't put them in a hole 6-0. He hasn't given up 7 runs in 3 innings. He's just Boone's pulling the plug on him because he can't get through the innings. That's got to change. But yeah, it's positive with Severino. It's positive with Cortez. It's positive with Montgomery. We'll see, with some of the other starters in there, but maybe they need to give him more time in between starts. I don't know. Maybe he needs to come in. Maybe they need to just have him plan on pitching 3 innings for a couple games to get him into shape. But if you're a professional baseball player, you should be ready to pitch.
Look, the bottom line is between those ball issues and between the shortened spring training and no pitchers and catchers and everything else, and it's only been a few starts. If we're still having the same conversation about Garrett Cole the end of May, beginning of June, then there's issues. Right now, you wait and see what happens.
I mean, what is Garrett Cole getting? $12 million a start? Is that something? I mean, $1 million a start? So, something crazy.
No, it's a lot of money. I'm pretty sure.
What does he make in a year? What does Garrett Cole make in a year?
Wasn't it $350 for 10 or something like that?
I believe it was $350 for 10, $35 million. So
he's making like almost $2 million a start.
Almost $2 million a start. Yeah. Well, it depends. I mean, 5 divided by
20 starts.
20 starts. No, more than that. He's going to start more
30 starts. So he's making $1 million a start.
He's making a little over $1 million a start, just over like $1.2 million a start ish. Yeah, somewhere.
Figure it out. Figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Chad Green's arm's going to fall up by June.
Yeah. If that late.
And Chapman's a whole other story. He's just a head case.
Yep.
He's just a head case. But look, as Yankee fans, we're spoiled. We went 15 years where we knew 99.9% of the time, if you went into the 9th inning with a 2-run lead, it was over.
Mm-hmm.
We're spoiled. Chapman's not,
No. Who can
look, nobody is Mariano Rivera. Chapman's certainly
ever in the history of the game. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I mean, I don't know. This is not a great Yankees team. Again, because the Yankees did not go out and get top names.
Right.
They knew they were going to get rid of Voit. They re-signed an aging Rizzo. Does Rizzo get me excited? No. Is he an okay player? Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think that this bodes well in the sense that we saw what the Braves did last year? As much as you hated it,
right?
It's a strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the Yankees are going to say at some point, we're there, we're close. Now we're going to spend some money before, the trade deadline or whatever it is in the middle of the season instead of doing it in the offseason.
I don't know if they will. I don't know
if they will either.
I don't think they have the will or the means to do that. That's my take on it, or else they would have. It came out that the Yankees didn't offer these top shortstops. They didn't offer them anything.
Why didn't they? Because they were going to pay. They have to pay Aaron Judge, and then they didn't sign him. And now he's not that he will walk. I'm sure a deal will get done, but he's technically a free agent after the season. So
the longer he's in limbo, and the longer that goes on, the worse it is generally for the team.
Right. And
they weren't going to give top dollar to Trevor Story or Carlos Correa when they knew they had to give a boatload of cash to Aaron Judge after giving a boatload of cash to a guy that's underperforming on the mound. So
all of the guys that I praised the Mets for going out and getting, which I wish the Yankees had, are paying off, for them. I mean, Scherzer was a no-brainer, and God, he's lived up to what, the expectations were, but even people who had an off year last year, like Lindor, Marte, they filled holes, and they have a lineup where there's not an automatic out.
Mm-hmm.
It's one, if you're going to get a hit 1 out of every 10 times to the plate, or 1 out of every 10 at bats,
mm-hmm.
and you're not going to draw walks. That's the other thing that the Yankees used to pride themselves on, working the pitch count. Watching Brett Gardner get up there and have 30 pitch at bats, even if he grounded out after that. What that does at the bottom of the lineup is make that pitcher really work hard to when they get to the top of the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
And the Yankees aren't listening to me. The Gleyber Torres experiment is over. Get rid of him and put DJ LeMahieu at second base.
Well, how many years? All right, let me ask you this: how many years past the end of the Gary Sanchez experiment do you think they went before they got rid of him?
Well, 2.5 years.
2.5 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So when was the official, in your mind, the official end of the Gleyber Torres experiment?
2 years ago.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Even then, they still have 6 months to get rid of him.
Well, that's when they should have gotten rid of him, right? But,
Right. When they were when he was,
you can give him a year after that for like, well, we can hang on to him.
Right.
It's not like he's coming back from an injury or it's just that you've created this platooning system that is so absurd that takes your best players and puts them out of position and they don't know where they're going to bat in the lineup and it's doing nothing. Yes, I grant that the Yankees are 7-5 or 7-6. They were 7-5. They've played Baltimore already. Okay. Yes, they had a good series against Boston, but you're losing to Detroit and Baltimore. You have to win 3 out of 4 or sweep these series to win the East. You have to. I know it's early, but they look just like they did last year. They got different old guys in different positions. Josh Donaldson's not the answer. That's going to be your big excitement. We got Josh Donaldson. Then that's going to be a 184.
Well, it's the flip side of that. You not only got Josh Donaldson, but in getting Josh Donaldson,
right, you
got rid of Gary Sanchez.
I got that. Yeah. So are we going to stick with Higashioka for the rest of? I mean, these are things.
See what other choice they have unless they have somebody in Scranton that they're going to.
They got to go out and get people. They have to go out and get people.
They'll have the young giant, right? Who's the backup guy. Yeah. They're going to hope that he's going to be this year's.
Again, defensively, I think they're better. But you're not. You have an ex MVP, an All-Star and a World Series champion, and a batting champion and a 3 or 4 time All-Star platooning or playing out of their natural positions. Mm-hmm. And you have a third-year shortstop who's actually a good shortstop, and he's hitting better than I thought he would up till now. Hopefully that continues. Right. They have to get the big bats in the lineup, and I think that means the other problem besides Gleyber Torres, worse than Gleyber Torres, is Joey Gallo. Joey Gallo's done. Joey Gallo's horrible. Joey Gallo's horrible.
There's a reason he's not in Texas anymore.
He cannot hit anything, and he's a decent fielder, but I'd rather have Brett Gardner out there at 55 years old. Because you could use that money to get somebody else.
55.
Let me ask you this. Hey, you might see that before the season.
This is very true.
Right? He's not playing for anybody. So here's my question about Gleyber Torres. What do? You trade him for a prospect, a hot, young, defensive shortstop prospect? Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, this is the last year of his contract, right? Mm-hmm. He's not worth anything, or maybe somebody's going to look at what he did a couple of years and go, well, he could, get him out of New York and maybe he'll be. But you're not going to get somebody who's really a good hitter for him. So do you just bring in a defensive guy and you go, okay, at least that hole is plugged defensively, I think he hits 250 or whatever.
I think you got a good shortstop that's a decent hitter. I don't think we need that. I don't think we need to fill that hole. What the Yankees need is they need another starter. They need another top tier starter.
Right. Okay. If Gleyber Torres isn't going to bring any of that.
No. But I mean, he could be part of that. And I think they need. I think they need another outfielder, or they need to make Stanton learn how to catch a fly ball.
Right.
Well, I don't think. What did they sign Rizzo? Did they sign Rizzo to a 1-year deal?
I think it was a 2-year deal.
2-year deal. I mean, so. They're committing themselves. This is the team for the next couple of years. They need more speed. They've gotten a little better on the base paths, but not they need another outfielder and a catcher. 2
years, 32 million.
Yeah, Rizzo is a free agent in 24.
2 years, 32 million.
Yeah. So Rizzo's going to be their first baseman for the next 2 years. Mm-hmm. this is what we're going to be dealing with for the next 2 years. Is this a team that's going to beat Toronto or Boston or Tampa Bay? They're close.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of good parts on this team, but they just don't have that. They just don't have that spark throughout the lineup. They just go dormant. And yeah, Stanton will hit a home run and then he'll strike out 4 times. So what if you're hitting a home run but leaving 7 guys on base? What's the net there?
Right.
And listen, it's got to be difficult to hit when you're shifting all over the infield.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
I mean, it's
because you're
hitting
thinking
a baseball is the hardest thing to do. And if you have to go out every night, like every day you go to the ballpark and you're not sure where you're going to play, that's got to be in your head,
Absolutely.
And then you're in a position, obviously, you're more comfortable here than there. Well, you're going to be over here for the next couple of nights. Right. Shit.
Right.
Now what if I, fuck up because I'm not as strong defensively? That's got to affect your hitting.
Absolutely. And when LeMahieu is your leading slugger, I mean, Rizzo's come up a little bit, but I mean, the Yankees on base percentage is, and tonight they got LeMahieu leading off as a DH. They got Judge in center field, Stanton in right field, and Gallo in left. Okay.
This lineup brought to you by Bigelow Tea. Bigelow Tea, the official tea of the New York Yankees.
Yeah. I mean, here's Trevino is the catcher. He's hitting 385. Of course,
Lee Trevino.
Lee Trevino is
catching.
There you go.
He got his knees replaced and he's back. But I mean, look, Torres is hitting 162. Gallo's hitting 132. Donaldson's hitting 188. None of them have an on-base percentage over 275. So can they improve? Yeah, but this is exactly what I thought we were going to be getting. And we're in the third inning, okay? And the Yankees have already struck out 4 times.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what you get when you don't know how to manufacture runs.
And
when you can't play small ball.
Was a Bugs Bunny perplexing, powerful.
That's right.
Purpose pitch that struck out 3 guys at once. But you know what? These teams could beat each other up enough that the Yankees could be, around it and in it.
Yeah. I agree.
It's a small ray of light, perhaps, but
no.
This is what I said before, though.
Win 90 games,
But this is what I said before. With all of the shit that you're talking about, Harry, and every single piece of it is damn correct, right on the ball. And these are the struggles that they're having. That being said, they're 1 game out of first place in the net.
Exactly.
Like they could still end up in.
That's the difference between a Yankees fan and a Mets fan. Is that I'm not getting mad at anybody else. I'm getting mad at the fact that we don't have a complete team on the field at all times, and that our best pitcher, can't get out of the second inning. That's a struggle. Now there's good signs. Severino, Cortez, Montgomery, and Aaron Hicks.
Mm-hmm.
Hallelujah. Keep it going. Love it. Thank God. I'm really happy for Aaron Hicks.
Is Aaron Hicks going to be pitching, though? Because with Severino, Cortez, and Montgomery, he might.
No. But you know what I mean.
No, I know what you mean, but I'm just saying, literally, maybe he'd do a better job than some of these other guys.
Maybe. Now, here's the thing. Out of all of those guys, get to the 6th inning.
Mm-hmm.
Then maybe try to get into the 7th. We have to take the pressure off that bullpen. You have to.
Of course. Absolutely. Let's take a quick look around the rest of the league. The American League Central, Guardians.
How about those Guardians?
in first place?
Well,
they're in the Bronx tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. White Sox a game behind them for our Chicago contingency. American League West, the Angels. Wow. Who'd have thought? Who'd have thunk it? And the Astros down in 4th place there. Granted, they're only a game and a half out of first, but did you see that, by the way, yesterday?
A lot of parodies of.
I forget who it was. Ohtani was on the mound, I believe it was, and I forget the batter's name for the Astros. And he tried to bunt his way on because Ohtani had a perfect game going. I guess it was in the 6th, the 7th, and he tried to bunt his way on. And the game was in Houston. The Houston fans booed him for doing that to Ohtani. And he didn't.
He didn't get it anyway.
He didn't get it anyway, and then Ohtani blew the perfect game on the next pitch, the next batter anyway after that. But yeah, the whole Astros crowd actually booed their own guy because of what he did to Ohtani.
Yeah, Ohtani's
listen,
loved.
I'm interested.
I'm a little tired of Ohtani. But by the way, DJ LeMahieu draws a walk and Aaron Judge hits a home run. So
there we go. Yankees lose 3-2.
Yeah, I mean, this is how you manufacture runs. This is how you take advantage of people giving up walks.
Right.
Anyway,
right. No, absolutely. But manufacturing is put the ball in play and get a single or a double, and then keep the carousel going.
And then that's the one.
And if you get a home run, you get a home run. But it's not like Aaron Judge got it. Maybe he did. Maybe he got a fat pitch. Maybe he got a huge friggin' meatball right over the plate that one of us could have hit out. Right. So, fine, take advantage of that. It's the ones that they're swinging at, trying to make a home run out of what couldn't be any more than a seeing eye single. And,
I love Aaron Judge. I think he's a great guy. The fact that he didn't sign tells me that he might be wanting out.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Is Aaron Judge a top 10 player in Major League Baseball? No.
Top 20. I'll say he's top 20.
Yeah, he's top 20, but he's going to want top 5 money.
Right. And there's only one team that's going to give him top 5 money, even though he's a top 20 player.
Right.
And he doesn't have to go far.
And that's the Dodgers.
Well, Dodgers or the Mets, the same team.
Yeah, I mean, if he goes to the Mets, great. I mean,
I don't care. I don't need Aaron Judge to be on the Mets. I don't. I'm not going to say it would be a bad thing, but I don't need him to be. If he's going to sit there, because first thing Buck's going to do is stop swinging for the fences.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
I'd be more concerned about him breaking down.
I
and that's another thing too. I don't think Buck's going to want him. I don't think they're.
I hope the Yankees and him could come to an agreement because he's probably the most beloved Yankee since Jeter.
Sure.
He's a good player. He's a good player. It's just he's 6'8" and injury prone.
Right.
So
let's look at the rest of the league really quick. NL Central for our Chicago contingency. Obviously, the Cubs in third. Cardinals.
We had somebody call in once from Chicago.
Oh no, a couple times.
Yeah, I know. But we serve our listeners. Oh, by the way, just, how long before Texas decides to blow it up? They're 3-9. They made some big moves on the offseason.
Yeah,
in the offseason.
Well, again, they need pitching. I mean, they got John Gray, but Texas is going to be okay.
Yeah, they'll work their way back in. And in the West, of course, the Dodgers are in first place. Giants back and forth, but then again, same as over in the American League, only a game and a half in fourth place in the division, only a game and a half out of first. So
let's give it up for the Rockies too.
But the Rockies in game out.
Be 10-2.
Yeah.
And this is a team that knows how to manufacture runs. Mm-hmm. Their lineup, these guys know how to get on base and push the ball around Coors Field.
You're right.
CJ Cron's having a hell of a start to the season, and and their pitching's looked better. They kind of blew one the other day to the Phillies. They were up big and kind of lost 9-6, but I mean, let's hope the Rockies can at least stay competitive.
Right.
Do I not understand win percentage?
Go ahead. Go for it. What?
It seems.
What's confusing?
Well, Colorado is 8-4.
Correct.
So they have played 12 games.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, that's right. Never mind. No, it was me. I don't understand it.
Okay.
No, I do. I was just looking at it wrong.
Okay.
Never mind. I got it.
You understand it, but you're good to go.
Yeah, I'm good to go.
All right. Cool.
You take 8 and divide it by 12.
Right. That is correct.
That's not what I do.
No, you take 12 and divide it by 8, actually.
For win percentage.
You take 8 and divide it by 12. Yeah.
Common Core math. Go ahead. I do it the old-fashioned way, guessing.
The shoes come off.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. You want to see my over/under?
You have one of those those big boards with the beads that you just push. The
abacus. Yeah.
Is that what that is?
Yeah. Listen, I worked for the Chinese for
I thought that was a Genesis album.
4,000.
Abacus.
4,000
Abacus isn't anywhere.
All right, so that's baseball, right?
That's baseball. Look, a lot of teams hovering around 500. A lot of parity. Other than the Mets and the Rockies and the Dodgers, nobody's really lighting it up.
Well, it's early.
Yeah, but
20 games in.
Usually, you don't have this many teams hovering around 500.
Well, it's good parity.
It's parity. It's parity.
Couple side notes, real quick.
Go for it.
Because I know it's your favorite, and I'm waiting till we talk about whatever in baseball first. You guys remember Kent Merker, right?
No.
All right. Then.
Kent Merker. Was he the coach on the White Shadow?
Yes, he is.
Tell us who Kent Merker is.
Pretty good pitcher, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, sounded like a pitcher.
Yeah, he's a pitcher. Went to 3 different World Series with the Braves. Was with them in '95.
Okay.
Had a no-hitter in '94. Kind
Nice.
of a journeyman. Played for a lot of teams. 18 seasons. Never necessarily spectacular, but good, solid career. One anyone would be proud of.
Mm-hmm.
He is playing in the Minto U.S. Open Pickleball Championships.
Is
weekend.
he?
Yes.
Nice.
And here's the amazing.
What is pickleball? Do I even
It's like I don't know. You play with a paddle on a tennis court.
Really?
Yeah, I think you play in the boxes. It has to be in the little
in the boxes of the tennis court. You play,
the front court boxes.
Paddle ball. Yeah.
And I think it's a 2-player game, right? It's a doubles. Yeah.
Doubles,
so anyway, here's why I bring this up. He hasn't been even playing for like 2 years. It's just something he picked up, and he said there's a stereotype, a misnomer that it's a retirement village sport. He says, no, it's very competitive and you got to run around and stuff. And they got some highlights from last year's U.S. Open and stuff. Pretty good pickleball. I would never play it, but this guy's playing. Look, he's an athlete more than anything, right?
Right.
Solid 18-year career in the majors, and now he's playing in the U.S. championships for pickleball.
There you go.
Picking up a paddle. It's not a racket, it's a paddle.
There's live coverage on the Ocho, too.
Ocho Punto Cinco, actually.
Yes.
It's the 8.5.
Oh, I never really knew what pickleball. I've learned what pickleball is.
There you go.
There you go.
So
I knew you'd have
go
something
Kent Merker.
there.
I'm rooting for him. Good for him.
All right, Kent Merker.
All right, real quickly. The hitter power rankings came out today.
All right.
On MajorLeagueBaseball.com. Don't know if you saw that.
No.
Didn't see it today.
I don't even
knew they were due out. Didn't get the email yet, though.
Oh, did you know they were due? I had no idea. All right, real quick.
They come out every April 22nd.
Yeah.
That's the day.
Run it down
Earth Day, every Earth Day. Happy Earth Day, by the way.
You want to go 10-1? Let's go 10-1.
Yeah, it's 10-1's good.
All right. Number 10, Stephen Kwan, left fielder for the Guardians.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to give you any numbers.
That's fine.
Number 9, Wander Franco, shortstop for the Rays.
Wanda Franco?
I wonder.
Wanda Franco.
I
didn't know she was on the team.
Number 8, G-Man Choi, also the Rays.
Yep.
Fan favorite, even if you're not a Rays fan.
Oh, yeah, G-Man Choi's good.
No, the Rays have a good lineup.
Owen Miller, infielder for the Guardians. That's 2 Guardians.
2 Guardians, 2 Rays.
Rays.
There you go.
Number 6, Juan Soto.
Shocker.
For the Nationals, yeah. Number 5.
Mm-hmm.
Who's everybody's favorite player right now? His name
Shohei
rhymes
Ohtani?
with Daddy.
What rhymes with Daddy?
Well, his nickname rhymes with Daddy. It starts with a V.
Vladdy.
Oh, Vladdy.
Vladdy. Guerrero, number 5. Another guy you got to love. Matt Olson for the Braves, right?
Sure.
Thank
That
you.
was a good pickup.
Enjoy your time in California. We don't need you.
Yeah.
Number 3, Seiya Suzuki for the Cubs, who is the next Ohtani, only without the pitching.
Exactly.
That's for you, Harry, because I know you love it. I can stop talking about Ohtani and start talking about Suzuki if you'd like.
You do that? Why not?
And he plays for the Cubs for our Chicago guy,
There you go.
whose name we don't know.
Let's drop the Chicago.
Number 2,
We got to.
Jose Ramirez of the Guardians.
Yeah.
3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And number 1, Nolan Arenado of the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if these come out weekly or whatever.
They come out monthly.
Panel of MLB voters will periodically cast their ballots for the best bats of the moment. And I don't know. If I remember that this even exists in a couple of weeks, I'll check and see if a new one comes out. And we'll see how it goes. No Yankees, no Mets.
No.
Yeah.
It's kind of a stat that I'm not sure means a ton, but
Yeah, no, it's a kind of a fun thing. I'm not even sure if it's just a vote, I guess. It doesn't seem like there's any they have all right, like Ramirez, 429, 479, 881 /line. That's
Well, Brandon Belt actually got also receiving votes. Didn't make the top 10. Obviously, didn't make the cut.
yeah.
Brandon Belt, C.J. Crone, Freddie Freeman, Lindor got the vote. Pujols, Corey Seager,
the aforementioned Rangers.
Spencer Torkelson.
Yeah. And Perennial also ran Mike Trout.
Mike Trout, yeah, exactly. So there you go.
Who will probably not appear on the show now.
Probably not.
Can I just say one thing on baseball too?
Please do.
How good is the front office of the Oakland A's?
Yeah.
I mean, if there is a team that I'm jealous of, look, Mr. Steinbrenner Jr. or whatever the third or whatever the fuck you are, or whoever the goddamn GM of the Yankees is, just all roads lead to Oakland. The Yankees should have got Matt Olson instead of Rizzo. That's who they should have gotten. That would have been the old Yankees. They would have had Matt Olson on their team. And I'll tell you what, if you want a catcher, Sean Murphy for the A's is looking pretty good. They lose everybody every year. They lose their top players and they bounce back and they continue to win games.
And doesn't it seem like there's right? Because they're big with the sabermetrics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Don't you think there's a book of how to that all they have to do doesn't matter really who the GM is, right?
There was a movie about it 12 years ago.
Right, exactly. He just opens up to page 3 and he goes, "Oh, that's what you do."
I actually think it's more than that. They're into the sabermetrics and they do use that to their advantage, but they have a talent for finding talent, growing that talent, and knowing what a team needs and a balance of offense and defense to win games. That's what they need. Yep. They don't have anybody that jumps off their roster as a big-time all-star. They don't have the big names, but they have 9 guys in that lineup who know how to get on base. And look, I'm just forever impressed with that organization. I actually kind of wish that they would be able to have enough to sort of keep some of these guys and maybe add, and get the next Max Scherzer deal over there. Just let's see them win a championship.
Mm-hmm.
God, they're good. And the National League West is going to be. We knew it was going to be good. It's going to be that good. Mm-hmm. It's going to be that good. Because the Padres are playing better than they were.
Exactly. All right. Let's do the quiz. We'll wrap up baseball.
Let's do it.
All right. Get your pens and your papers out.
Pens and papers.
Ready to go? All right. Keeping with the pitchers theme, we're going back again. We're moving back to the 90s, 1990 to 2000.
90s pitchers.
90s pitchers.
Ooh, I can't wait till we get to the 70s and Bert Blyleven.
Bert Blyleven's on.
I think I remember less about the 90s than any other thing.
I got a feeling once I tell you the name.
Well, I think Randy Johnson's name will be on there.
Well, Randy Johnson was on Randy Johnson was on last week. He was on the.
So he can't be on both. Huh?
No, I didn't. I just changed it up. Why put him on both?
All right.
Give a couple other guys a chance. There's more than 6 pitchers per decade. We can pick different ones.
Sure.
It's not a top 10 list by any means. It's just pick your 4 favorites out of these 6 that I give you, kind of thing. So MLB pitchers in the 90s, 1990 through 2000. Here we go.
Solid, intelligent reasoning be damned.
Absolutely. 4 got to stay, 2 got to go. You tell me what you got. Here we go. Write these down. Greg Maddux.
I'm going to put the G so I don't get him confused with Mike.
There you go. The Rocket.
Raheem Ismail?
Roger Clemens.
Oh.
I think you got 1 and 2 right there.
There you go. Tom Glavine.
Maybe number
Tom Glavine.
4 or 5.
All right. Moose. Mike Mussina.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I thought you meant Bullwinkle.
Not Bullwinkle, no.
He had a nasty cutter, though.
Squirrel. No. No, Mike Mussina. Al Leiter. And Kevin Appier.
Kevin Appier. That was a good one. I thought you were going to go with like Doug Drabeck.
I was thinking about it. So, Greg Maddux. I almost said Mike Maddux. Greg Maddux, Roger Clemens, Tom Glavine, Mike Mussina, Al Leiter, and Kevin Appier. What 4 are you keeping? Radio Pete, start us out, please.
Who was it was Maddox, Clemens, Glavin,
Messina, Lighter, and Apier.
Lighter.
Yeah. As opposed to his brother
Apier-
Heavier.
Napier's a guy I used to pick in the late in the draft for the video game.
Okay.
So there's something about, I think it was mostly for stamina though, but I think it was a decent pitcher.
He was very good.
But I mean, I can't get rid of Glavin and Lighter, right? That would be that would seem sacrilegious.
That would be sacrilegious to Met fans.
Maddox is too good. Obviously, Clemens is out because he's a cheater. I mean, I shouldn't even have to say
Well,
that.
as long as you go with logic. So.
I don't know. I'm going to get rid of Al Leiter because I don't like his face.
Plus, he
There we
doesn't
go.
deserve to be at the top.
So we're keeping Maddox, Glavin, Messina.
I'll tell you what, he's good. He's good in the mornings on MLB Network.
He's great in the mornings.
All right.
But I would say he's like maybe top 30 of the 90s, not top 6.
Well, you know, I
know top 4. I mean, because we're picking 4, right?
We're picking 4, right?
Yeah, keep it the 4 that you want.
So, Pete, you're going with Greg Maddox, Tom Glavin, Mike Messina, and Kevin Apier. Right?
Yep.
All right, Harry.
Well, since Charles Nagy isn't on this list, I'm going to go with Maddox, Clemens, Glavin, and Messina. I mean, that's just tough. You can't beat that. Kevin Apier would be my next. You know, Al Leiter was a good pitcher, but a little inconsistent and definitely not anywhere close to those other guys.
Didn't he have a no-hitter with the Yankees after?
Probably. No. I don't think so. I don't think
you're thinking David Cohn left the Mets and went to the Yankees. And
I thought Leiter didn't go to the Yankees.
And Cohn
went to the Yankees. He didn't have a no-hitter, though.
Right. Oh, I thought he had like a one-hitter or something. Yeah. Seems like every pitcher that left the Mets and went
to the Yankees gets a no-hitter.
Had a no-hitter, right?
Yeah. I mean, Smoltz would be another one that I would consider on this list. Right. Cohn would be another one. I think Messina is slightly ahead of Cohn.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I might put Smoltz a little bit ahead of Glavin.
Yeah, but
his heyday.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, definitely not. Yeah. No.
Glavin was a better. Glavin Smoltz will tell you that too.
Yeah, I would say
Smoltz is a great pitcher. John Smoltz is a great pitcher, but
Glavin, Randy Johnson, Roger Clemens, Greg Maddox. Those are the top 4, I think.
Yeah. Well, and Randy Johnson was on last week, so he was
right. But I mean, on this list, Maddox, Clemens, Glavin, and Messina. I mean, that's tough. Those are some of the best pitchers to ever.
Oh yeah, I mean, you could. I mean, if you have these 4, then you wouldn't care if Garrett Cole was your 5th starter because.
Oh look, you see the Messina Cole comparison. The Messina Cole comparison is interesting because Mike Messina didn't necessarily have his Baltimore numbers when he came to the Yankees, but what he became very Andy Pettit like, whereas that he was consistent and dependable and won games, and the Yankees were able to score more than 2 runs. So, you know, I'm not giving up on Cole yet, but Messina was great and never won a championship with the Yankees. I don't think, right?
No, he didn't. No,
I don't think so. No,
he didn't.
Him and you know, top Yankees to never win a championship. That's an interesting list. I would say Messina's up there with Don Mattingly and Dave Winfield. You know.
Sure, absolutely. All right, there you go. Just to recap, Pete is taking Greg Maddox, Tom Glavin, Mike Messina, and Kevin Apier, and Harry is taking Greg Maddox, Roger Clemens, Tom Glavin, and Mike Messina. There we go. All right. Football, we are not doing football this week because next Wednesday we're having our draft special, and we'll chat about other things, obviously, but it's gonna be mostly primarily the draft and some football stuff, and we're gonna do our running backs list.
Can I ask a question on the draft? Maybe it's just me and I'm not paying attention. I felt like last year there was like Mel Kiper's draft version 37 already by this time.
Oh, these guys put one out every week.
Yeah. I just feel like they're not ESPN sports talk shows are not covering the NFL draft as much as you. I don't think there's as much.
They're not. If you turn on the NFL network.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
But overall, the sports
obviously
things,
it's their thing, obviously, but it's constant. Yeah, I looked at Good Morning Football this morning. 99% of the whole entire show is the draft.
Of course, and it has to be. Yeah.
So there you go.
Just one thing I don't think we mentioned last week, which was sort of a story, and was the passing of Dwayne Haskins.
Yes.
Yeah, that was shocking to me.
Yeah, and it was. I was kind of waiting for more information to come out about what sort of what happened, and apparently he was
didn't get a lot of press either, really.
No, he was hit by a truck, and then he was hit
early
by a
in the
car,
morning. He was
and,
crossing a highway or something, right?
Yeah, he was apparently had gone out for a drive. At least is what the latest reports I read, and ran out of gas, and so he was going to get gas, and was on his way back from that, and I don't. They're still investigating, so we'll find out more about it. But I think the controversy at the time was more about, I think it was Adam Schefter, and then there was some other football guy who didn't speak in glowing terms. Schefter used the phrase like not catching on in, where did he start?
Washington.
Yeah. Said he was in Pittsburgh after not catching on.
New Jersey
Washington.
kid, right?
Yeah. And then some other old fart who knows Roy's been writing about football for a million years or whatever said something about he always had like some sort of issue or something.
Right.
People jumped all over them, don't speak ill of the dead and all that. But that seemed to be, getting more press than actually what happened. But
right.
He did sort of fade very quickly. Hell of a college career. Obviously won a national championship. Sad. I mean, a young guy and probably had a chance to make it back. Yeah, I think he's one of those. He was in college for a long time. He was a little older coming out of college, if I'm not mistaken. But just sad overall. I mean, you don't want to see that happen to anybody, especially somebody so young.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
So anyway, like I said, still being investigated, but haven't heard anything about like he wasn't having some sort of mental attack or drugs, or nothing like that.
There's no issues, nothing,
no
underlying suspicion.
Right. I hate to admit that's exactly where my mind went. Like, he was out running with no shoes on the highway, because of drugs or something. But apparently that is not the case. I'm glad to hear that, but hopefully we'll get a little more on the story as it develops. But I just know we didn't mention it. I just want to mention him.
This just in too, not to change the subject too sharply, but Joey Gallo now hitting 128. Joey Gallo, 128.
128. Joey Gallo.
Up or down?
Maybe they should trade him
down.
in for. Maybe you should make a trade and get Joey Callow instead.
Not Gallo. Well, it's 2-1 now.
Frida
Yankees have 2 runs on 1 hit.
Yeah. Well, they manufactured it.
Hit.
Yep.
Guess what that 1 hit was?
There's a
home run. There you go. All right. So let's move on to a little basketball. How's that?
Yeah. Tell you what, man, this has been a great start to these NBA playoffs. I mean, these games have been fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota, tough.
Yeah. Who'd have thunk it?
I mean, they blew it last night. I think Karl Anthony Towns is having a little bit of a mental breakdown, but
he's really struggling.
Memphis, that was 26 points. They were down by 19 going into the fourth quarter, came back to win that game, going away.
Yeah, there have been a couple instances where the better team came back from being down. I think it was game 1 of Miami-Atlanta.
Yeah.
I think Atlanta was up big, and Miami just sort of kept chipping away. Memphis and Minnesota. Chicago won the one.
Chicago beat Milwaukee. That's tied up 1-1. They play later tonight. Yeah. Look, Dallas.
Well, the Pelicans got to win too.
Pelicans got to win and might get another one.
Yeah. All right. And Dallas. Yeah. They're looking.
I think Phoenix is in trouble.
Especially without Devin Booker.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That's the problem.
Yeah. Phoenix was up by 14 when Booker went out of the game, I think.
Yeah.
So they are in trouble.
Yeah, yesterday I think they said 2 to 3 weeks.
Utah doesn't look
Can they last that long without him?
No,
I don't think so. No.
I don't think they get through this round without him. I mean, tonight will tell a lot, but they don't have the depth of scoring that some of these other teams do. And New Orleans, much like Minnesota, is a young team that does not know any better. They're just playing with house money.
Nothing to lose, right? Exactly.
And was Brandon Ingram not a good pickup? And Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum. I mean, do you want the big diesel to come back?
Good question.
Pelicans are moving the ball pretty well, and they're shooting the ball well. I mean, Valanciunas almost 18 a game. This is going to be a good game tonight. I am predicting that New Orleans wins tonight. I think New Orleans wins. I think Milwaukee bounces back, although Middleton's out. That's going to put a big dent, and he's going to be out for 2 to 3 weeks. This is going to be a 7-game series between Chicago and Milwaukee, and I think Miami sweeps the Hawks, but we'll see.
All right.
How about your Nets? How excited are you about these Brooklyn Nets?
Well, listen, they're doing the same thing that they have done pretty much the whole season. And we saw it right at the end of the season. I think it was a game against the Knicks where they were up by a lot and then it got close. They ended up winning that one, I think. And there was another game against somebody. There was the play-in game against Cleveland. And they, for whatever reason, they go into this, like, when they play basketball, they're really, really good. They pass the ball, guys contribute, there's movement, and they're wonderful to watch. But for some reason, they get these leads, and then the other team goes on a 6-0 or 7-0 run or something, and the leads cut to 8 or 9. And then the Nets go into panic mode, and then they begin playing superstar ISO. And it's every trip down the court is Durant or Kyrie. And we just look at the numbers from last game. You posted them, in fact, Harry. 8 for 30 for those two, and 1 for 17. I think it was either in the second half or the fourth quarter. It doesn't. They stop playing basketball.
I've never seen Durant have as bad a game shooting as that ever.
Well, and he's never had 2 games that bad back to back. Right? Playoff losses, he comes back and scores at least 30 in his career. But here's the thing. He didn't just have a bad game out of the blue. No. There's a reason Boston's the number 2 seed. And
they're a good defensive team.
They're a great defensive team. And
their lateral movement can combat the Nets passing game. And when the Nets play more one-on-one, basketball, it's playing right into the Celtics' hands. The Nets need to move the ball more.
Because what happens is, one of the Nets goes over to the corner and waits for a penetration kick out that never happens. Another net goes over to the other corner and waits for a penetration kick out that never happens. Right. And then Nick Claxton is just kind of wandering around, sort of, do I need to get out of the way? Do I need to block out because he's going to drive to the hoop? And this is where it comes down to coaching.
Yeah, I think their rotation is off.
They just... You have to pass and you have to move your feet. You have to cut and you have to move the ball. And they stop doing it. And you're right. It plays right into Boston's hands. They're double teaming outside of the 3-point line and nobody's moving. So they can't get back and help out. And it's dribbled off the leg or it's stolen or it's knocked out,
I think you're going to see Durant have a big game. We'll see which Kyrie Irving shows up. I think the Nets need to get LaMarcus Aldridge in the game, at least with the second unit. I would actually start him because I think that changes the makeup of what Boston has to do to counter it. It makes the Nets a little bigger. It also makes Boston
the Nets a little bigger too.
Yeah, it goes at Boston's weakness, which is being able to score in the paint against them.
Right.
They have good defenders, but they're all 6'7", 6'8", 6'5". Yep. They don't have that power. Defensive, they don't have a Rudy Gobert and their center's hurt. So go after him.
Yep.
Get somebody down on the post, work it in out. And if you do that, that's going to open it up for where Kevin Durant is maybe the best of all time, which is a 15 to 17-foot jump shot.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Stop shooting threes, work the ball inside, get a post presence, play the game inside out, and watch it open up for you guys. I think they got to get LaMarcus Aldridge in there. I really do.
I agree. And I will say this. They showed some real defensive activity there, right? The Nets did, right? We talk about how lousy their defense is. There was a relatively brief period of time where they weren't scoring, but they were kind of holding their own. I mean, Boston was still chipping away, but it was pleasant to see.
Yep.
But at some point, Steve Nash needs to call a timeout and slap those guys in the face and say, could you start passing the ball and let's start playing basketball? Enough across the timeline, dribble, fade away 18-footer because it's not working.
Right.
But, of course, Steve Nash is not going to do that.
Steve
And
Nash
it's
is
not
not
really-
Steve Kerr. Yeah.
Well, it's not his fault.
No.
I'm going to defend him here because he was not hired to coach this team.
He's
He
hired
was
to
hired
babysit the team.
to manage this team. Right, to run the numbers and to make substitutions and that sort of thing.
Right.
And I think they'll win one. I don't know if it'll be.
Well, we'll see. I think Game 3 is going to dictate a lot.
Sure.
Look, if
I think it's going to be a gentleman's sweep.
all Boston did was hold home court. So now that the Nets have to come back, these games have been close. The Nets have to come back and win a couple at Barclays. And if they can't do that, then the story shifts from the Lakers' demise to this Nets team, getting absolutely nothing out of this James Harden deal, other than getting rid of James Harden.
Well, did you hear?
I know.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons is going to
maybe for Game 4. He's going to be there for Game 4.
Yeah,
I mean,
which is not going to.
This isn't baseball.
No.
Ben Simmons is not a shortstop. This
probably
isn't
help
football.
him.
He's not a free safety.
It'll probably help him defensively more than offensively.
Well, absolutely. He's one of the best defensive players in the NBA.
But listen, I don't think the deal they made to get rid of Harden was a bad deal. This is a pretty well put together team. They're just not executing.
Right.
It's like saying, you had DiMaggio, Garrick, and Mantle, and you got rid of Mantle. So are you still good? Yes, but you're not as good as.
That's true.
And you got Ralph Kiner for Mantle. I mean, pretty good.
But you had Mantle, but he didn't want to play.
Well,
right? Because he was.
Yeah, but those post-game interviews are much better than.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that was the problem with Harden, right? Because remember when Harden came.
No, I get it. You had to get rid of him. He wanted out. We
had to. So
Harden's problem was with Kyrie.
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to get rid of him.
Kyrie's a lot. He's a lot to manage. He's that hot chick who's such a pain in the ass to deal with that nobody wants to date her.
But Harden's problem was with Kyrie, but apparently the Nets problem, one of the Nets problems in Boston, in the Boston Garden, is Kyrie too. But that's besides the point.
Right.
Yeah.
Look, Kyrie had one great game, one shitty game. It's Ramadan. He's fasting. He's eating bananas once the sun goes down. He's shooting, 3 of 14. He had a bad game. Him and Durant had a bad game at the same time, and that has very rarely happened.
Right.
Yeah. I think look, I don't think the Nets win the series. I think they can.
But let me tell you one other thing that is also very rare is they rarely have a really great game at the same time.
Right.
It's usually one or the other.
If they win, yeah, that's true. That's true. Although Durant does things that don't show up in the stat sheet. The things that Kyrie does that don't show up in the stat sheet is that he's
the stat sheet's even worse than that.
Yeah, is that he's a defensive liability, especially against this Boston team, and he turns the ball over a lot. Now Durant had a lot of turnovers as well. That's the one thing you don't usually see. You don't usually see both of them. It's playoff time. People are playing defense. They're swatting at the ball before you get it above your head.
Like again, what are the Nets going to do differently? They cannot come down and just go.
I already told you. I already laid it out. They need to post up, move the ball, get into their offense quicker, and move the ball. The other thing the Nets need to do, and they have the ability to do this, is if they get a stop, they need to get out and push it, because Boston's more. If you don't let them set up don't worry about this. Get the ball out of your hand. Don't let the ball stick to your hand.
Yep. And it's a lot tougher for the Nets as well. When you're missing shot after shot, it's hard to get back on defense, especially if you're not good defensive team. It's hard to get back and get set up on defense when the other team does not. That extra second or two of the ball goes out of bounds and then comes back in. Possession after possession after possession, you don't have that. You end up floundering around and scrambling back on defense. Yeah, and they're not good. They're not good enough to do that to begin with.
Kyrie needs to be less Allen Iverson and more Clyde Frazier this next game.
Yeah, he needs to cut down on the fouls. A lot of their good defense, they were getting stops, but they were
Yeah,
Facts.
they're putting Boston at the line.
Yeah.
And
So
Boston's a good team. They're deep, but look, they are susceptible down low. Make them work for it. Let the old guys bang it out down there. It's and at least get the ball moving a little bit. I would start LaMarcus Aldridge. I know that sounds crazy, but I would do it. I'd start LaMarcus Aldridge.
I think did he have an ankle thing or something?
I don't know.
I think they said he's ready to go.
Yeah.
I don't know. I looked it up the other day, but I don't remember what it said. But yeah, they have to do something different.
Yep.
And look, all these, the talent is just not enough. Embiid and Harden, they get coached in Philly.
Mhm.
Golden State, when it was the Splash Brothers, right, and Klay Thompson, when Durant was still there, they got coached. They didn't just do it themselves. The Nets, they don't have. I really like Steve Nash, but he's just not the right guy.
He's not Doc Rivers. He's not.
No.
Look, and look, Philly looks good. That was a huge comeback the other night. Big time shot for Embiid. Good for him. This Philly team looks destined to make it to the NBA, to the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't know who's the favorite in the East, but Philly looks like they're having their way right now. And if it is the Heat, it can Bam Adebayo, cover Embiid.
Let's take a look at what we said last week. Last Wednesday,
Sure.
we did our.
Let's all change our minds then.
We did our pick, so we can.
Well, obviously, Toronto's not winning.
You can adjust here.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'm wrong about that.
We all said everybody. We all picked the play-in correctly. So Atlanta was in, New Orleans. But we said 1 versus 8. Obviously, Miami, Atlanta, Miami. It was Miami and Atlanta combined, so Miami. Mylanta. That's actually
that's the one I was searching for.
So we all said Miami. So we all seem to be on par with that one. Brooklyn, Boston. Pete and I both said Boston. Harry said Brooklyn.
I'm gonna look. I'm gonna give it one more game. I just think.
Well,
I think
they
this
can come back from 2-2-0. I mean,
Yeah.
they go 3, they go down 3-0. It's a different story.
Boston's looking pretty good. I'm not going to change though. I stuck with it. I'm not,
Yeah, listen, I'm. It's hard to win 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
Boston's a really good team, and it's hard to win 4 out of 5. Even the Nets, but it's possible.
Sure.
But you're right. If they win the next 2, well, then now it's 2 out of 3. I mean, you still have to win. 4 out of 5
but
overall.
it's not.
But
it's
the
not,
series gets shorter.
Right. Exactly.
What's their win percentage though, Pete? If they win,
11.
11. So, all right. We all
8,
three of
4
us.
is 12, so it's 750.
That's right.
All three of us agree
8 is
that
3/4 is
Milwaukee
12.
will beat Chicago, and the series is tied 1-1. So
Look, Chris Middleton going down is going to be tough. DeMar DeRozan had a hell of a game the other day.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see Giannis step it up. I think, but they got to go back to Chicago, right? Or they go to Chicago. This is going to be a tougher series. Milwaukee's in trouble a little bit, but Giannis seems to be able to pick it up when Holiday or Middleton are out. He's a beast to stop. I don't know if Chicago really has anybody who can stop him completely.
Right.
Chicago's tough matchup. Tough matchup. Milwaukee should win this.
Mhm.
Champs got to figure out a way to win. But I would not be surprised if this went the distance and give Chicago a puncher's chance, especially with Middleton out. Middleton's a tough loss. Tough loss.
Yeah.
And Harry, you and I both picked the Sixers to beat Toronto. Pete, however, picked Toronto to beat the Sixers.
Yeah.
So
go Raptors.
Well, they could.
Yeah. Look, Toronto's a good team. Philly's just they got
to win 4 straight.
Toronto had game 3-1.
Tomorrow.
If it goes 2-1 with another game in Toronto, it's different than 3-0.
Right.
It's going to be hard to come back from 3-0. I think this is Philly's year to advance, and they're going to be tough.
So over to the West, all 4 of us picked the Suns.
Yeah, well, they had Devin Booker.
What a shock!
I still think they're going to win.
I don't think. I think they're.
I think New Orleans. You're right. They're playing with house money. They have nothing to lose, but they're kind of young and
Who's going to score for Phoenix? Who's going to score for Phoenix?
Playoff wise, and they can end up kind of getting the chokes.
You know, DeAndre Ayton has kind of disappeared. He needs to show up because they're not super deep when it comes to scoring from the outside. The difference between Milwaukee losing Middleton is that he's their second best player.
Mm-hmm.
The Suns losing Booker is that, he's their best player and their top scorer and an MVP candidate.
Right.
And they're a good team. They won a lot of games. This is going to be a test. They should be able to get past the 8 seed, right? Even without Devin Booker.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be easy if they do. That's all I'm going to say.
You're right. All right. We all agree that Memphis will beat Minnesota.
That was looking tough for a while there. A big comeback for Memphis. Was that last night?
Yeah.
Man.
Yep.
Yeah. This Minnesota team, though.
It was a big comeback.
This is no longer Karl Anthony Towns' team.
No. It's not at all.
No.
All three of us picked gunshot wound to beat Denver. I'm sorry, GSW. Golden State Warriors. So,
well,
I look at the abbreviation GSW. It's like
Golden State's playing great ball, and their team defense is second to none. What did Jokic have? 38 and 18 last night with like 6 assists. And
he's doing everything he can.
And it's just he's not getting any calls.
Nope.
I'm not. Look, it's just he doesn't get them. He got thrown out of that game, which he shouldn't have. They just don't have anything else. No offense to Will Barton and Monty Harris, but the Nuggets just don't have the roster to compete with this.
They don't.
Team. And let me tell you something. Jordan Poole may be when it's all said and done, he may be the MVP of these playoffs.
Yeah, if he continues to step up
with Poole, Curry, and Thompson not playing well. This team's peaking at the right time.
Yep. Agreed.
Without Devin Booker, if they get to play Phoenix without Devin Booker, Golden State's beating Phoenix.
Yeah.
And I'll just say one other thing about Minnesota. Imagine if Towns does start to play well. That could be real trouble for Memphis. I don't think they'll win, but
Minnesota had them. Minnesota should be up 2-1.
Yeah.
Well,
that could be a really brutal 7-game series.
How many weeks is Booker going to be out?
2 to 3.
2 to 3.
2 to 3. Okay, so it's possible.
Definitely this series.
Look, if they get there, if they move forward without him and keep moving forward, by the time they play Golden State, Booker will be back because it's not going to be the next series no matter what. Yeah, if the Suns win, they're going to either be playing Dallas, Utah, or obviously not Denver, but or Minnesota or Minnesota. If Memphis wins, then they're playing. They're playing Golden State. So Golden State.
The Suns will play the lowest seed.
Yeah. So So there's teams that they'll
because Golden State was 3.
Golden State's the third.
Yeah, I mean,
seed,
at this
so
point,
it's going to be it'll be in the semifinals. It'll be in the conference finals. If the Suns play the Warriors, it'll be in the conference finals. That's it. So Booker will be back. Is my point. So
right,
they're not going to.
So are we thinking Golden State is the favorite to win the West right now with Booker out?
If Booker's only going to be out 2 to 3 weeks,
is Golden State better than Memphis?
I don't know.
They might be right now.
Look, Golden State right now,
and if Memphis has a tough knockdown, drag them out series with Minnesota.
I don't think anybody in the West can give Golden State that much trouble.
Right.
Phoenix with Booker, yes. I still think Phoenix is a better team. Anybody else with the way they're playing right now, I think Golden State's experience will frustrate Memphis a little bit. It's the East where I think Golden State has a tough time. But yeah, I think with Booker out, Golden State becomes the favorite.
Well, we'll see what happens if Booker's back. And if Booker's back in 2 weeks, then
I mean, a Golden State, Phoenix,
Yeah.
Milwaukee, Philly finals would be
interesting.
Pretty fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that note, though, all three of us picked the Jazz to beat Mavericks.
Yeah, and look, Mavericks up 2-1. Doncic hasn't even hit the floor yet.
Doncic, yeah.
The Jazz, the first game, the Jazz look great. Their team defense, Rudy Gobert is just I know he's one defensive player of the year, but it's amazing the adjustments that Dallas made. They're spreading.
Gobert,
and
he's playing so well he's playing so well he might make a list.
Well, Jalen Brunson. We talk about the Jordan Pooles and the multiple players from Minnesota who stepped up. Jalen Brunson, what is he averaging? 32 points in the first 3 games.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, 41-31. I think he did 25 in the first one.
He's the guy that Milwaukee did not keep, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
think Gobert,
he's doubling what his regular season average was. I think his regular season average was 16.
And I think Gobert, when he gets in foul trouble,
that's the problem.
That's when Utah really struggles.
That's the problem. And look, Mitchell had a good game, but he got off really slow and it put them in a hole. And he shot horrible from 3-point range. So, hey Donovan, if you want to come to the Knicks, you're more than welcome. But there's a team closer, just a little trip down I-25 across 80. Denver Nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to win a championship, Donovan Mitchell.
Listen to you.
Come to
lifelong Knicks
Denver.
fan.
Yeah, but the Knicks have nothing to offer him. They have nothing to fucking offer him. Do you want to go play with Julius Randle or do you want to go play with Nikola Jokic?
Of course. I get it. It's a much bigger difference, Mitchell going to Denver than going to New York. But wouldn't you like to see Donovan Mitchell with last year's Julius Randle and supporting cast than not?
Last year's Julius Randle is dead.
No,
I want to be the same again.
If Mitchell can't come to the Nuggets, then let's get him to the Knicks, and then let's make a big trade and get Jokic to the Knicks.
Either way, he won't have to be a Mormon anymore.
Yeah, he's definitely not a Mormon.
Yeah. Well, I think you have to be on
the only non-Mormons in Utah are the Utah Jazz players, with the exception of maybe a couple of them that may be Mormons. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think Karl Malone was ever a Mormon.
I don't think so.
I don't know. He might have been. Now,
if he was, he's definitely getting kicked out.
Well, imagine if Karl Malone shows up at your door with some pamphlets. You're going to give him some attention.
You're going to, okay, I'm sorry. What can I do for you?
Like, really, I never was frightened enough into thinking about Mormonism that way. Tell me more, Mr.
Mormonism.
Yeah. Mormonism is the religion that falls short every year to Michael Jordan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they were up late at Temple the night before the game.
You just can't get past born again Christianity.
And just to finish out, obviously this is
one of their number one tenets is no pushing off.
Right.
That's right.
Or pulling out.
That's number 4.
That's number 4. Right. He not to jump too far ahead, but just to remind you, Harry, you said that the finals was going to be the Suns and the Sixers, with the Suns winning. Pete, you said it's going to be the Suns in Miami with the Suns winning, and I said it's going to be the Suns in Milwaukee with the Suns winning. So
we're all in trouble if Devin Booker doesn't recuperate.
So thanks, Booker.
Yeah, really. So all right.
Well, listen, that could make for a very interesting, because we do all have a different team from the East.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're all wrong about the West,
right,
then that might be the.
We know what that means, right?
That would be the decider.
Harry said Philly, you said Miami, and I said Milwaukee. You know what that means, right?
Chicago.
That means that Boston's going to the finals.
Yeah, Boston.
Boston's going to the finals.
The Nets are going to the finals.
The Nets are going to the finals, right? Then it's all done. So anyway, all right. We will we'll keep watching that. Obviously the first round one should be just about complete, if not everybody complete by next Wednesday's podcast.
Atlanta's
So
up by 7 right now.
there you go.
And Milwaukee's up by 10.
There you go. All right. And we'll keep looking at that before we finish the show tonight. Let's move on to this week's top. Can't call it top 10 anymore, right?
All-time starting 5.
All-time list. All right. Now here's the funny thing. We've done how many teams? These basketball teams.
6,
We've done
7.
Knicks. We've done top Knicks players of top New York Knicks players of all top New York Knicks of all time. Top Philadelphia 76ers of all time. Top Chicago Bulls of all time. Top, you know what I mean? But this is the Jazz, right? So I'm like writing it, and I can't go top Utah Jazz of all time, right?
Well,
But
they weren't really in New Orleans all that long. They've been
no.
in Utah way longer.
I don't mean the difference between New Orleans and
okay.
Utah. I mean, it's not plural, right? Bulls are plural, Knicks are plural, Jazz. Like I can't say top Utah Jazz of all time.
Wonder why we have no listeners.
There you go. Ha, ha, ha. Well, if you didn't, you would have heard what I was
Jazzes?
saying.
You didn't want the top Utah Jazzes?
Top Utah Jazzers of all time.
The
Jazzers. Jazzers.
Yeah.
Top Utah Jazzers of all time. Now, top
This is without a doubt the most ironic name in the history of sports.
Yeah. Utah Jazz. Utah Jazz.
How do you know there's not a vibrant
it's going to be
scene in Utah?
Los Angeles.
Utah?
Trust me, I know there is not.
The Los Angeles Dixies of all time. That's
there is outside of Salt Lake. There used to be a decent punk scene, but there is no way that
there's no jazz scene in Utah.
Well, there's no vibrant jazz scene anywhere in the U.S. anymore. But back in the heyday of, there certainly wasn't a giant scene in Salt Lake City.
This is true. But anyway, so I want players. So top Utah Jazz players of all time. There we go. Top Utah Jazz players of all time. And we'll kick it off with, obviously we do first team, second team, so forth.
Starting 5 by position.
Starting 5 by position. First team. Our point guard is Mr. John Stockton.
What a surprise.
John Houston Stockton. There you go.
Never heard of him.
John Houston Stockton. Never heard.
Systems player.
Systems guard.
Our starting shooting guard is Pistol Pete, Peter Press-Maravich.
I'll tell you what, I love that Christopher Russo is on First Take in the morning now,
right?
Because I've heard Pete Maravich's name mentioned more in the last week than I have in the last 30 years.
Well, there you go. All right,
and that's a good thing. Props to Mad Dog Russo. Honestly, I like Russo with what's his name? Oh God, who's the host of First Take? Stephen A. Smith. I like Stephen A. Smith and Russo together.
Right. Well, there you go. All right. Our first team small forward is Mr. Adrian Dantley. Adrian Delano Dantley.
The Gazelle.
I almost said Danilo.
Adrian Danilo Dantley?
Confused with Joe Danilo.
One of the best post scorers in the history of the game.
There you go. Joe Danilo was?
Joe Danilo, yeah.
Joe Danilo, right.
He hit the post quite a
bit. He hit the post, scored awesome. Yeah. There you go. Adrian Dantley. There you go. Our
tugboat coming through.
Yeah.
It's tugboat time. Our first team.
Speaking of jazz.
There you go. Our first team power forward is the mailman himself, Mr. Carl Anthony Malone.
Yeah, one of the best to ever play the game.
Absolutely. And to round out our first team would be center, would be Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert Borgarel.
I think this is the first current player, active player, I should say, to make any of our first teams, correct?
To make any of the first teams. I believe you're right. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Want to talk about these top 5? Or are we
I mean, I think some people, younger people, might forget about Maravich. Maravich was incredible. Sure. Stockton and Malone. If you don't know Stockton and Malone, then read.
Go YouTube. It's called YouTube.
I think the one that maybe casual basketball fans don't know about is Adrian Dantley, and Adrian Dantley didn't necessarily get along with the owner of the Jazz very well. But when he was there, he was phenomenal. And he went on to become more of a role player with Detroit, and then I think one other team after that. But Dantley, man, one of the best.
And Mavericks and the Bucks he was on.
Mavericks and Bucks, one of the best small forwards to ever play the game.
Yeah.
Adrian Dantley was lethal.
And then he coached for
lethal.
Then he coached for 8 years in Denver.
Yep.
And Maravich was, I mean, we've seen a number of instances of great players on lousy teams.
Right.
If there anyone that's more of the epitome of that than Pete Maravich,
Pete Maravich was,
he's a phenom.
He was as dazzling when he came into the league as Steph Curry is. He was that much of just a phenomenal scorer.
He did stuff that nobody else does,
right?
Or did at the time. But
one of the top players of all time.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, you could argue that with Maravich, Stockton, and Malone at their positions, they're all in the top 5 all time in their positions. I think.
Mm-hmm.
You could say and I would argue Dantley is too, although that might be dwindling a little bit because you have people creeping up in there like LeBron, who's I guess a small forward, and people like that. But yeah, and look, the Jazz have always had these kind of defensive-minded centers, throughout the years. Some good ones. Rudy Gobert, I think he's an underrated presence in the NBA right now. I sort of wish you could see Gobert play in the 90s. I think he would have been he would have been an even better player back then. He's kind of a throwback. He's a really good off-ball defender, and without a doubt the best all-round center the Jazz have had. They've never had anybody who had the balance of defense and offense
right.
that he does.
Yeah,
he's a double-double. He's a double-double guy.
Yeah, I think everybody knows who he is, but they don't realize. If you really don't examine his numbers, you don't realize exactly. You could look at what has he got 3 or 4 Defensive Player of the Year awards now. So
you could argue he's the 3rd or 4th best center in the NBA.
Yeah,
you could. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right.
Second team. I believe my son is actually upstairs in his room, diagonal from me.
Diagonal.
Instead of downstairs.
Well, there you go.
It's a little clearer.
Yeah. Well, let's see.
No. He stopped the minute you opened the door.
He's not in there.
So he's upstairs.
A little free jazz.
He's downstairs.
He's downstairs?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
All right. Second team.
Second team. Move on to second team. Our second team point guard is Mr. Deron Williams.
Short.
Deron Michael Williams.
Short but good career.
Short but good career. Played a little in Brooklyn afterwards. But
yeah, he was. There was a lot of Net fans who were upset, including myself, getting rid of Deron Williams. But of course, bigger things were afoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had a short but really good career with the Jazz.
This is very true. All right. Our second team shooting guard is Mr. Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell Jr., to be exact.
Another current player.
This is very true. What does his father do?
I have no idea.
Let's see. What does his father do?
Does it matter?
No, it doesn't matter.
Senator? No.
Never mind.
Why are we asking what is
our second team?
There's something you and I don't get. Harry.
Yeah, I'll come back to it. Our second team small forward is Mr. Bogdanovich.
Bojan Bogdanovich. Another active player.
There you go.
Yeah, he's only been with them 3 years, but he's a hell of a player. I think he's another guy who doesn't get, I think, enough credit for. Well, we'll see. We'll see if these great players fall to the Luka-less Dallas Mavericks in the first round again. But
right, exactly. So there you go. Second team power forward, Carlos Boozer. Carlos Austin Boozer Jr., to be exact. And, of course, our second team center is Mr. Al Jefferson. Not to be confused with his cousin, George.
Yeah, this is the one that I dug a little bit for. I mean, I think a lot of people, he'll be on our reserve team, I think. But this name doesn't come up a lot. And he had some really good years with the Jazz.
Sure.
Again, another player kind of played in a little bit of obscurity in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
I think Boozer did too for his first few, number of years until he went to Chicago and then elsewhere. But
well, he was on the Celtics, he was on the Timberwolves, he was on the Jazz, he was on the Hornets, and he was on the Pacers. Never more than 3 years on any team.
Jefferson, yeah, he moved around. He was good on the Pacers too. He was on a couple of those teams that were, fighting for the playoffs. There, he had some really impressive numbers with the Jazz.
Right, he did. So, Pete, anything on those gentlemen?
I don't know which is the better Bogdanovich, Bohan or Bogey.
Bogdan or Bohan?
Bogdan or Bohan?
Different players.
Yeah, that's true.
I think Bohan this year is having a better year. I don't know. It's tough to say.
Bogdan had more of an established presence, maybe. Listen, if it wasn't for the wizardry of Pete Maravich, Donovan Mitchell might have been on that first team, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he might, in the end of the day, if he stays in Utah.
Yeah.
We'll see if he. I think this Utah team, they seem to be slinking down a little bit in their. They were a top seed, I think, just a couple of years ago. They lost to the Nuggets in the bubble in Florida. They're not really playing. The team hasn't changed much. They're not really playing up to their potential. And if they lose to a Luka-less Mavericks in the first round,
right?
I think you could see this team get blown up a little bit.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right. And our bench players, our reserve players, number one is Mr. Jeff Hornacek. Jeffrey John Hornacek, to be exact. Also, Andrei Kirilenko.
AK.
I'm
AK-47, I think, right?
I'm not AK-47. I'm not even going to pronounce his middle name. It's Genadovich. Genadovich, I think. Andrei Genadovich.
Andrei Genadovich, Kirilenko.
There you go. Also on the bench is Darrell Griffith.
Not the defensive back from the Washington Redskins.
No, Darrell Stephen Griffith, this one. Dr. Dunkelstein.
He was great for a while there.
Dr. Dunkenstein.
Put up some good numbers.
There you go. And, of course, rounding out the bench is Mehmet Okur.
Yeah, a lot of people, was he a
Money
power
man.
forward? Was he a center? He had a couple of good years. So him and Jefferson played together there for a little while. They were, they were a pretty good team. I think he played a little bit with Booker too. So a lot of current and or recent players on these reserves and second teams, and even on the first team. And I mean, we think of that, Karl Malone, Stockton team, of course, with Hornacek and some of these other guys, but I think this list kind of tells you they didn't necessarily have the supporting staff to.
They did not.
To Antoine Carr was not on our list.
Very true. Very true. And just to get back to the old Donovan Mitchell.
Not even on my list.
There you go.
Although he was your you would pick him as a pitcher over Clemens.
Yeah, you probably would.
Next week I'm going to put him on the pitchers list, and we'll see what comes up over that.
He had those cool wraparound glasses. He looked like he was 60. I liked Antoine Carr. He's tough.
Yeah. Just so you're aware, Donovan Mitchell's father, Donovan Mitchell Sr., he's an executive with the Mets.
Okay.
Yeah. He's the Mets Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion.
God. Yeah, fantastic. Good for him.
There you go.
A lot of sports in that family.
There you go. They're from the area.
Maybe he'll come play second base. Yes.
He was born in Elmsford, New York. So.
Oh, there we go.
And there you have it. All right. That brings us to this week's Old Balls. Harry, why don't you tell us who this week's Old Balls recipient is?
This week's Old Balls recipient is none other than Mr. Spencer Haywood. And yes, I think he only played 1, maybe 2 years for Utah, but he seemed like 1 year for every team in the NBA. And if any of you are watching Winning Time, the drama documentary about the Lakers in the late 70s into the 80s, Spencer Haywood has certainly figured in that. This guy had a career where it was totally up and down. He was, I think, best known as somebody who was the reason why you could draft people directly out of high school. Took the NBA to court and won, becoming, I think, one of the first players to come right out of high school in 1967. And he played in the ABA, was drafted by the Denver Rockets at the time. Played 2 years for them, 2 years, 5 years, 6 years for the Supersonics, and then went to the Knicks, the Jazz, the Lakers, and wound up finishing his career in '83 with the then Washington Bullets. This guy was incredible. He led the league in 1970. He led the league in scoring, rebounding, and won the All-Star MVP. This is in the ABA. And you know, his time in the NBA was impressive. He wound up his career with over 17,000 points, averaged over 20 points a game, over 10 rebounds a game. And you know, his career was troubled by a cocaine addiction. I think he was somewhat, you know, singled out by a lot of the ownership for, you know, for the fact that he took them, you know, the NBA to court and won. At the time, they didn't like this idea of these young guys coming out of high school. Was a 4-time All-Star in the NBA. Was an ABA All-Star in his 1 or 2 seasons there in 1970, and was a 2-time NBA All-NBA first team and 2-time All-NBA second team. I mean, just a great career. And you know, he was let go by the Lakers. He came in. I think he was another veteran presence to kind of go alongside a very young team and an older Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Him and Kareem were both guys who were sort of on the front line of social justice at the time. I think he got a little bit of a raw deal. He was Paul Westhead at the time, kicked him off of the team. You know, he fell asleep during practice. There was a reason for it. But his cocaine addiction, I think, did hurt his career, like it did with a lot of players in the early 80s. I think he would have been. I think he would have been an even better player. He's a Hall of Famer, though, and deservedly so. At least I think he's a Hall of Famer. Maybe he's not a Hall of Famer, but he should be. I think he should be a Hall of Famer. Anybody who averages 20 and 10 over their career should probably make it in there. Yeah, he is basketball Hall of Fame. So anyway, Spencer Haywood, and just an interesting character and a great low post scorer. Just a great rebounder, great scorer, and just one of the more interesting characters of the 70s and 80s.
There you go.
Spencer Haywood.
And by the way, today's his birthday.
Oh, it is. That's right. Today is his birthday.
73 years old today.
Happy birthday. Happy Earth Day, Mr. Spencer Haywood. This week's
Oh, wow. You've been waiting for that one.
This week's
wow.
old.
Yeah. Happy birthday and happy Earth Day. It's also Charles Mingus's birthday today.
There you go. Happy birthday, Mingus.
Happy Mangus.
Little Mingus. Tell him to play a little. Yell down at your son. Tell him to play a little.
He doesn't even know who Charles Mingus is.
Oh, boy.
You got it.
Well, no, I don't think he does.
Anyway, well, this week's old balls, one way or the other.
Old balls.
All right. There we go. Little hockey.
Rangers, Carolina still tied. 108.
Yep.
Whatever.
108. I mean, it doesn't matter anyway because the Eastern bracket is going to be, the first place is Florida. They got 118 points, but yeah, just bragging rights to win the Metropolitan Division would be cool.
Right.
But yeah, Florida just took off. So
call me when the playoffs start.
There you go.
Right
Well,
now.
next week.
Right. But I mean, just hockey, right now, I don't care. Like the end of the season is just seeming to drag on.
There's 4 games. Everybody's got 4 or 5 games left. Rangers got 4 games left. Hurricanes got 4 games left. Pittsburgh 4 games left. Some teams have 5.
When is the last day of the regular?
Next Is it next Wednesday or next Saturday? I'm not sure. I might be next Saturday.
Let's see.
check
Wednesday,
it out.
Thursday, Friday, the 29th.
There you go.
Sunday, May 1st, the Kraken take on Winnipeg.
There you go.
Is that the end of the regular season? That's insane.
That's the end of the regular. That's a late regular season. And here's the thing: it's been 2 weeks, or it's been a week and a half, almost 2 weeks already for the end of the NBA season, right? And we still got another week and change to go for the end of the NHL season. They both played the same amount of games, and the NHL started their season a week before the NBA started theirs. So obviously, their games are more spread out.
That's just terrible.
That's what happens when you have to travel to Saskatoon.
Yeah.
There you go.
Takes a lot out of you.
There you have it.
Well, they got to skate cross country, so
this is true. Right. They got to skate to Saskatoon. But your Avalanche there, Harry, playing pretty, still playing pretty good.
116 points and leading the Western Conference.
But just look at, I mean,
quite a bit. I think they're going to wrap it up.
Their point differential is 86. Florida's is 103. That's just crazy. Rangers have a 50-point differential, and they're plus 50, and the Hurricane is plus 68, but they still have the same amount of points. So, yeah, it's getting a fun time of year. Out of the grind. The playoffs should be interesting, so we'll keep an eye on those.
So what are we find out what the tiebreaker between Carolina and the Rangers would be? It's head-to-head would be the
head-to-head
one,
would be.
I don't know what that record.
I don't know what it is either. Yeah.
Here's one thing I do want to bring up in the West that I think Calgary. Yes, they're in first in the Pacific Division, and yes, they got 106 points. They have yet to give up 200 goals.
Right. Yeah.
Watch out for Calgary.
Defense wins.
Yep.
This is true. Well, I mean that there's only 3 teams in the entire league that haven't given up 200 goals yet, and that's Calgary, the Rangers, and the Hurricane.
All right, let's see. Here's an article titled, "Here's what happens if the Hurricanes and Rangers tie for the Metro Division title." I'll read this. You guys talk while I read this.
Well, I think we're done, so we'll fill you in next time.
You want to do the over-under?
There's an over-under.
You got an over-under?
All right, here we go. Should that happen, 5 tie-breaking methods the league will use to separate. Regulation wins. Any win before heading to overtime. The Canes hold the lead over the Rangers by 1.
Okay.
Overtime games. They add overtime games back to the total. Carolina leads by 2.
Yep.
If they're still tied, the next tiebreaker is overall win total. And the Rangers have lead by 1,
right?
51-50 at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Fourth level would be total points earned in head-to-head matchups. 1 game remaining between the teams. The Canes lead 4-2.
Mm-hmm.
And if the 5th tiebreaker is necessary, season-long goal differential. And the Canes are well ensconced, according to of course, with their plus 18.
Yeah, plus 18, yeah.
So most likely, if it's tied, Carolina
gets the nod, right? Gotcha.
Oh, there we go.
There you go. All right.
All right. Over/under?
Over/under. Go for it. And we'll wrap
Do we
it
have
up.
time?
Yeah, go.
Quickly.
All right. So I actually pulled these off the shelves the other day.
All right.
Some CVS
adhesive pads. There we go.
Big pads. I like big pads.
They're not used.
No, they're not used. So,
these out of trash the other day.
The box is open. It is not full. I have used some of them.
Pull these out of the trash the other day.
No, that's not. Come on, I pricked myself 19 times when we did the A1C.
Yeah, that's what she said.
And I didn't use a single. Yeah.
He pricked me 19 times and I didn't feel a thing until he put on his big adhesive pad.
Right.
And then you put a big adhesive pad on there. All right, so there's 10 in a box.
10 in a box.
So the over/under is 5.5. How many are left?
Shake the box. Shake the box.
5, and I'm going to go under.
Going to go under.
And shake it again.
Oh, wait.
So she
put it by the camera.
Let me go over.
Go over. Okay. Funny story.
Oh, God.
every year the school has this the high school or the school district has this big thing. They go to the park and they put all the kids' artwork out and all the music groups in the schools play and all that. So one year it rained, it was inside. So Peter was in the jazz band and he's playing the piano. And the jazz band director was a really nice woman, but she was not technologically advanced. So he was taking a solo and she had a handheld mic. So whenever someone would solo, she would go over and hold the mic near, their instrument.
Mm-hmm.
So first she had it sort of near the opening in the piano, but it wasn't very loud. So she took the mic and went over and like put it above his hands. Which is not where the sound comes from. But
get closer to where he's playing, right? Exactly.
Yeah, she was great. We loved her anyway. Anyway, so 10 total in the new box. I'm gonna pull them out one by one.
Go for it.
God.
One.
One adhesive pad.
Two
adhesive pads.
Three. Four. Five.
Right.
So if there's one more in there,
a half an adhesive pad.
Oh God,
that's a quarter.
That's a quarter.
And the other half of the adhesive pad.
That's 2 quarters. So it's 5.5. So
it's a push.
These are the same pad.
Oh, so it's cut. Oh, I see it.
I cut it in half and then pulled this part out of the packaging. I forget why I was going to do that. Like I thought I only needed half of one, but I ended up using a whole one. So the total is 6. So who picked the over?
I did.
All right, there we go. I'll hold them all up.
I don't know. Cool. I'm gonna go to the judges on this. The question was how many adhesive pads were in there.
Well, if that's the case, it didn't matter the size at that point. Then there's 7.
No, I don't think half torn pieces count.
Well, but this is still an adhesive pad.
It's great if you only have 3 sides that you need it to stick to, and you want one side to collect dirt, and that's a non-functioning pad. I call foul.
You got to put a little tape on the other side, a little metal.
I call a foul.
Well, you have an interesting point.
All right.
However, the question was not how many functioning pads are in the box. It's how many pads were in the box.
And I would say it's not a pad if it's cut in half. It's a half a pad. 2 halves in this case do not make a whole.
Is that the?
That's what I'm saying.
The one flew over the cuckoo's nest cigarette.
Right.
The cigarette, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
This is a dime. If you break it in half, you don't get 2 nickels.
That's right.
Dad, you got it.
That's right.
They say it like Jack Nicholson.
Exactly.
Well, I think you have a point there. Harry. Obviously, I have to be.
I could not hear those remnants rattling around.
That's what did it.
Their edges were not on the side of the box, so I didn't hear them rattling. I was like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, that's 5.
Under.
Well,
we can either like taking a stack of money going, yep, it's all there.
That's right.
All right.
They always do that in the movies.
Let's see. You want to go another one?
No.
How many matches in this book of matches?
If you're not, do you already know how many are in there?
I do.
Okay. Please don't count them on the air. But all right,
say the number. Yeah.
What's the over under?
Well, there's 20 in a whole pack.
Right. Well, what's your over under?
So my over under is 11.5.
Over.
Right. I'll go under.
Don't count them.
6.
0 for 2 today. That one's a legitimate win by John.
Well, listen, we'll see. Let's see if we get some feedback from the audience.
That's right. I'm always cheating, right?
About the adhesive pad.
Right.
I think I've won one. He's always cheating.
Well, you're good.
How am I cheating?
No, you won like 2 in a row.
You did win 2 in a row. Yeah, you did. Yeah.
How? I don't even live in the same state. It's not like I could sneak into your rat's nest and find out. how many broken electrical cords you have.
Listen, occasionally I leave this camera open by accident. You could be hacking in while I'm
log
sleeping.
in and check out. You just climb through. Just zoom in.
If anybody knows me, I am incapable of knowing how to do that. I'm barely capable of getting on this podcast.
There you go.
All right. Well, we'll leave the adhesive pad ruling up to our audience.
Yeah,
how can they get in touch with us with a?
They can write into they can send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Chicago, Illinois 60601. No.
Uncle Floyd Show, Secaucus, New Jersey, P.O. Box 1487.
Just write into the Facebook page. Just message right into the Get On With It Facebook page.
Oh yeah, there you go.
And let us know what you think about the over-under for the adhesive pads. So is it 2 legitimate wins by me, or did Harry and I split?
I think we need to see what the standings are in the over-under.
I think the legal pads is under review. The matches is a legitimate win.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so we'll check the review for any write-ins. Please write in. We'll take any votes you have. We'll pick them next week, right before we'll tabulate the scores right before the or the votes, I should say.
Let me just say one thing in my defense and my argument. If it was Band-Aids and you took a Band-Aid and cut it in half, again, doesn't work.
Depends which way you take a Band-Aid.
Well, but these were cut the long way. So
if the Band-Aid you cut in half,
the long way, then think about it, people. Use
we're gonna see write-ins on the Facebook page from like.
This is going to be the most interesting thing we ever did.
No, it's going to be like Hermie Lagnarts says.
That's right.
Hermie Lagnarts.
It was 5.
That's right.
I mean, Harry wins.
That's right.
Hermie Lagnarts.
Yeah.
That's your new name. Hermie Lagnarts.
Sounds like one of the elves and Rudolph comes back to life or something.
Hermie Lagnarts.
Rudolph's bathhouse Christmas.
Hermie Lagnarts, like he takes Rudolph out drinking, and then Rudolph wakes up in a tub full of ice with his.
Takes Rudolph to the bathhouse
with his spleen out. Right?
Herbie the dentist is there, drinking
Hermie Lagnarts,
drinking Cosmopolitans, and wearing his Buster Browns and dancing with the boys. Yep.
Exactly. All right.
Let's go.
On that note,
come on, we're getting out in less than 2 hours. We got 3 minutes.
On that note, we'll wrap up.
We were shooting for an hour, so
exactly. Well, it worked out. On that note, we'll wrap up for today. We want to thank everybody for watching, and for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.getonwithitpodcast.com. That's getonwithitpodcast.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for the Get On With It podcast. And of course, all of the shows are on YouTube as well on the Logger Room channel. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night. Obviously, this not tonight, but every Wednesday night around 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. For those that you just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, and iHeartRadio as well. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you'll never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great weekend. Watch the NBA playoffs, watch some baseball action, and we will be back on Wednesday with our pre-NFL draft show. It'll be fun, so don't forget to tune in for that. All right,
and our pickleball analysis.
Our pickleball analysis will follow the draft show as well. So
I think Merker's going to win it all this year.
I believe you're right. So anyway, all right, have a great weekend, guys. We'll see you soon. Take care. Cheers.
Bye.
Yanks lead the Guardians. Miami's up by 3. Milwaukee's up by 20.
And the Mets don't start for 15 minutes.
Time to get my nachos on.
There you go.
Yep.